And you are a one-man show. I love it. The amount of multitasking that happens is amazing.
Okay, cool. We are all set. Let me share my screen. So welcome everyone to Meshery Development Meeting. Today is 1st of March, new month, and we have a couple of new topics. So if you haven't been introduced to this call before, or if you have joined this call for the first time, feel free to unmute yourself and give a quick introduction. I see a couple of new names in participants list. So feel free to unmute yourself and give a quick introduction if you would.
What? We have new people here? Really? Who are they?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. So this is my first meet. My name is Sapni Kavre, and I'm a front-end developer.
Oh man, that's awesome. Hey,
Pravni is my name.
Okay, yeah, very good. So your first name ends in an A, right?
I.
Oh, I. Okay. Okay. And it is not Shavrani. It is not Shavrani.
Yeah, you can call me that.
No, wait, no, you can't do that. No, it has to, you have to teach me correctly. Say it one more time.
Pravni.
That's going to take some practice. Okay. Good. Nice to meet you. Good. Front end. Awesome. Familiarity with React by chance?
Yeah. React is next year.
Well, look at we're
you are like
okay. We're becoming friends already. This is good. This is great.
Cool. Welcome to the call, Shravani. So who we have next?
Hello everyone, I'm Shivam. I'm from New Delhi, India. I'm in my pre-final year doing BTech and I'm here to learn as well as to contribute. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're at the perfect place to learn and grow. Yeah, so I see a couple of more newcomers. So if you can sound off and give a quick introduction.
Yeah, hello, I'm Garang. I'm in my final year of the college, and my main study area is Stack. I'm pretty good with backend, and it's my first open source project or open source community here. So I'm trying to learn as fast as I can, and then later on contribute to it. Looking forward to hearing more advices from everyone.
Yeah, that's great. That was a good introduction. Thank you, Gaurang.
I'm Tarun Chawla. I'm currently pursuing my master's in America, and I am learning about React and all new technologies. And this will be my first open source project to contribute to. Looking forward to learning from everybody. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's cool, Tarun. So from where you are dialing in from America? Which specific state or place?
New York.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Tarun, for your introduction.
Hello, everyone. My name is Manav. I am from India. I am currently pursuing BCA. I am familiar with React, JavaScript, Laravel. This is my first open source community. I love to contribute in it.
Welcome, Manav. Great to have you on the call.
Hey, hello, everyone. Aditya this side, Aditya Krishna. I'm a pre-final year student at VIT Vellore, and this is my second meeting. Like first meeting, I didn't like. It was like from website, so it is my second meeting. And if you want to know my tech stacks, I'm into full stack. I'm completely into Django, so it's a Python framework. So I'm into that, And more or less, I have just finished GitOps, that Linux Foundation course that I've completed. And after that, I joined this Meshery project. It just showed me. So I just joined. And on the way, I'm just doing my AWS certification also. And I want to contribute to this project as well as. So yeah, I hope there will be a great learning and contribution, Joe.
Oh man, careful what you ask for,
Yeah.
Aditya. Yeah. Hey, Aditya, if you've got some familiarity with, sounds like you're studying EC2.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's the discussion forum that the community has.
Yeah.
It's an EC2 instance, and it's Ubuntu Linux.
I'm a Linux administrator too. The system I'm working is Manjaro, so I'm working on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, there's an open need for a bit of, maybe volume remapping. We're running out of disk space on the forum. People are using the discussion forum, and that's good. But it is improperly set up. We'll have to share some details and maybe in the Meshery CI Slack channel in case.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, nice. Now there is a little bit of, to the extent that you try your hand at it.
Yeah, sure.
You can't F it up.
Actually, our internals are also coming from 8th March. I'm a pre-final student at VIT Vellore. So our internals are also coming. So yeah, but sure, I'll try it within a day or two.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for giving advance warning about your availability. Thanks. That's really nice.
Welcome to the call, Aditya. So if I missed anyone, feel free to quickly introduce yourself. I'll pause for 5 seconds.
Hello. So I'm Siddhant. I'm
Can you hear?
Yeah, Siddhant, you can go first, and Chandra Vijay, you can go next.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Siddhant. I'm currently from India. I'm a pre-final year student at NSUT. I'm a full stack developer, and I'm well versed in the MERN stack. But I also want to learn about Go, which is used in this project. So I hope to learn a lot from this project. Thank you.
Awesome. So next up we have Chandra Vijay. So Chandra Vijay would like to introduce.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good evening. Lee and I am from Mumbai. Currently, I'm in final year in BSc Computer Science and graduating this year in June, maybe June. My final exams in April, and I am currently a full stack developer in Node.js, React, and then I'm also interested in DevOps. So I'm learning Kubernetes, Dockers, and all these technologies. And yeah, I'm done with it.
Cool. Thank you for introduction, Chandra Vijay. So
thank you.
With that, keeping time in a check. So if I missed anyone, feel free to introduce in chat. So let's move to today's agenda item. We have a couple of good lists today. So first up, we have a topic by Mohit. So Mohit, do we have Mohit on the call? Yep.
Hello. Yeah.
Hey Mohit, would like to share your update?
Sure. So wait, I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Wait. I don't know. My browser is preventing access to share the screen.
No issue. If let me share and you can do a voiceover.
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, my task was to add document for add docs for Windows, for setting up development environment for Windows. And yeah, Lee provided with me some Google Docs, and I had to combine and publish those. Wait, yeah. So yeah, I talk. Yeah, so I also talk with Pratham Mehta. He's in here meeting. So he faced some issues while building docs in the GPG command. So I'm not sure if that issue is that common. So he can tell you more about that issue. Yeah, do you want to ask me something? Hello?
Yeah, was that all from your side, or do you want to cover any more items mentioned over here?
Yeah, so as I talk, so there are some issues that people are facing some issues in the like GPG command, like while building docs. So Pratham Mehta, he's here. He can tell you more about that. And yeah, he was also facing some issues while bundle install. So yeah, I talked with him, but I couldn't figure out like how to solve that issue. So yeah, he can share more.
Yeah,
On that.
we have Pratham on the call. So Pratham, do you want to speak on this?
Hello, Gaurav. So the GPG key servers was I was facing some issues while working with it and building the environment on it. So I guess I had solved it by using an open issue by. Wait a second, I don't know if I can get it right now. Sorry, Lee, my webcam is not working right now. So yeah, that was solved by RVM.
Yeah, no issues. Pratham, you could just send out the links in chat, so
Yeah,
people
I
will
will
definitely
I'll
review.
share it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so about that issue, like I know like how to resolve the issue that Pratham faced, but like I'm not sure if that issue is that common, so I did not add that to the to docs. So I'm still not sure if I need to add that or not.
Cool. Yeah. Let's carry forward this conversation in Slack or in Zoom chat.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mohit.
Yeah. Thanks, Gaurav.
Let's move to next item. So Pranav had made a couple of bug fixes. So Pranav would like to share your screen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would be first talking about few bug fixes which I made. This is in continuation to what I was discussing in the last meeting. First is that there was an issue wherein account extension was not loading properly, and the reason for that was several reasons were there. First was that the first reason was that we were not using the states properly. The other reason was that we were making a fetch request on making each switch between different extensions. And there was also another problem that redirection was not working properly for few scenarios related to playground. So I fixed all these things in this PR. It's already merged and you can test it out in the staging environment. This was one of the fixes. The other fix was also related to this, but little indirectly. That was now Meshery UI. Meshery server works as a proxy between Meshery UI and remote provider. So like Meshery server was doing some kind of augmentation to the status codes returned by the remote provider. That was leading to specifically leading to the account extension behave improperly because few components behave differently based on different status codes. So like that was causing problems. So now I have unified that approach so that like whatever status code is returned by the remote provider, we return the exact same thing onto the UI. So that fixed one problem. This PR is also merged, so things are working. And the other thing was like recently there was a PR that fixes the dark mode feature in one of the components, and like that missed updating the function calls in the dashboard, and that broke the dashboard. So I fixed that as well. So first of all, any questions related to these bug fixes? So in case like there are no
questions, I'll move forward to the other thing, which is less boring and more likely to be understanding. Like you like to see that. The other thing is your recent activities are now logged into your dashboard in your cloud account. So whenever you go to your Layer 5 cloud account, you can see your recent activities being logged into the UI. And these activities are actually your top 10 things which you did, whether being in your, whether using your account inside of, like directly using your account or using Meshery UI to perform certain things, whether it's you updated a pattern, you created a pattern, you imported a pattern, similar things for other contents like filters, applications, or you made a performance profile or any kind of like anything which you do, wherever it would be logged for your view whenever you come back to your dashboard. So this is also ready. So any questions on this one?
Yeah, Pranav, did you say that users would, oh, okay, this is recent activities. Oh, cool. Yeah, I wonder if there are folks on the call that might have, well, some amount of talent toward user experience or visual design. Pranav, in this particular case, he's been so busy on, well, not only this functionality, but some other functionality. I think he's turned a blind eye to like the icon that's used, because that's not because he's trying to get a bunch of other things done. And so, Pranav, would you be open to someone on the call making suggestions or coming up with an icon?
Yep, yeah, definitely we require better UX and UI here. Like we have been designing these in a Figma file. So there are a couple of mockups for this. So in case like you already don't have seen these things, so you can get to Figma. I think I'll share the link after my sharing of screen, and there we can discuss about how we can improve this further. So yeah.
Yeah, and there might be, yep. Oh, nice. Okay, so there's more than just this icon, maybe a few icons, and then it sounds like, yeah. So by the way, just to digest this for a moment, well, yeah. So another UX item might be like bold weighted font at the top of the columns, or elimination of some white space from the actions on the table versus the title of the table, title of the card. If those were to come into the same line, we would a little bit of space saved. Anyway, I'm just sort of randomly highlighting a couple of things that Pranav is pointing out that some help, it would be valuable to get some help on. If we digest a couple of these sample events just for a moment, so there is, looks like the system, it has an enum or enumerates a number of predefined types of events. And it looks like I'm just sort of digesting this and reading it out loud for everybody else, which is that, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times there's a particular resource that has been acted upon, and that constitutes an event. It's sort of like a history of all the actions that maybe either a user or just a component in the Meshery system, the Meshery deployment, different component, or maybe just a different subsystem within Meshery server. That looks like that's how events are sort of tracked, or that's how event types are tracked. So a resource and sort of the action against it. Okay.
Yeah.
Question, I don't know if, so like a lot of things around here, this is probably functionality that will change over time, that you might add some additional things over time or take away some things based on feedback. Is one of those things potentially a column for actor? Or is it sort of just assumed, hey, as a user, if you're looking at this, these are all of your actions, so we don't need a column that says who the actor was?
Yeah, these are all the user's action who is logged into the system.
Okay, that makes sense. Anybody else have questions? Anybody else here good at UX, UI, or visual design? Nobody. A bunch of no talent. No, just kidding. Well, if you are, say something in the Slack or in the chat. Anybody else want to harass Pranav while you have the chance? I'll hold him down for you if you want to beat him up. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, that was great update, Pranav. Let's move to next item. That's by Deepak on update to mesheryctl installation script. So Deepak would like to share. Cool.
So I was facing an issue when I tried to update mesheryctl, as it was pulling the latest version from latest release version from the GitHub page, and it was taking the version from the first line that had a like /release/tags, and the first line actually in the HTML actually had a star name or something. So I actually changed it. It's a simple PR. So I and some others had this issue, so it's good to go from my side.
Yeah, comments, feedback for Deepak.
Yeah, Deepak, how do we make this even more robust or less fragile? What if it were to switch back to the first line? Would that affect us or no?
Yeah, I think it's completely dependent on the GitHub release page itself. So I guess I could think of a better way to actually. I'll try to research and see if I can come up with a more robust way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge because in this particular, like we're doing screen scraping here. Why?
Yeah.
There's an API for this. It's like, well, the reason that we're not using the API is because how many of you have ever been rate limited by GitHub's API? I know there are at least like 10 of you or more that have. If you're using GitHub's API in an unauthenticated way, and you do it, if you hit that API more than 60 times in an hour, I think, well, you'll get rate limited and then it won't work. And you got to twiddle your thumbs for 34 more minutes until the hour is up. And so consequently, because part of Meshery's installation and part of the way that when you build Meshery, there's some information that's needed from the repositories that Meshery code sits in. And so we do need to like actively reach out to GitHub and programmatically interact with it. It's easier and more convenient to do that through the API, but if you're not asking for the users or the contributors' credentials, their Git token, their personal access token, then you're going to hit a rate limit at some point. So consequently, that's why we're doing this hack or this screen scraping. But Deepak, of what you have written there, you might have not only fixed an issue, but also improved the resiliency of that piece of logic. Because if that said, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just scraped the second line actually. Like
okay.
The first line was not returning the answer, so I scraped the second line.
Yeah. If you were to scrape the whole doc, that might be an improvement, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into it.
Nice. Good. Anybody else have feedback?
No. So thank you for demonstration, Deepak. Let me share my screen again. So next up we have an awesome topic by Lee. So Lee, would like to take it?
Yeah, I wanted to call out the fact that we're nominating Antonette Caldwell to a Meshery Maintainer role. So I'm not going to say anything here more to embarrass her than is already said in the nomination email. But if you're on this call, you've probably joined the Slack, which means that you've maybe filled in a community member form, which means that you would be on the Meshery community mailing list, and you'd be able to access that nomination. Go vote. Go if you've whether you think Antonette is a good fit for the role or you don't, please go say something. Part of Antonette or any individual taking on a maintainer role, it is simultaneously, well, glorious and also a big old responsibility. It's a privilege and a responsibility. And part of what Antonette specifically, I said I wouldn't embarrass her, so this isn't going to be too embarrassing. But part of what she has done already, very specifically in her activities here, like time and time again, has already demonstrated that she's very not only willing, but capable of doing the responsible part of maintainership. And by responsible, I mean like the street cleaning, the toilets, the mopping, the stuff that people don't generally necessarily set out to do or necessarily want to do, although it is some of the most important work and it takes diligence, attention to detail. Antonette has done it like a number of times where she'll spend time reviewing other people's PRs, helping offer feedback, whether it's critical or very positive. It's, that someone cares about the work that you're doing if they're giving you critical feedback. It's hard to give critical feedback. I'm happy to do it all day. That's just because I'm kidding. It's not easy. It takes a little extra patience and time and thought, but she does it. She also takes care of some of that, well, like another word for it is maintenance, like that other maintenance work of the dependabot after dependabot after dependabot update of the various dependencies that we have across our sprawling project. We have many components within Meshery, and Meshery is just one of the projects that we steward here. If you upgrade a dependency and it's incompatible, stuff breaks, and it becomes something of an urgent emergency to get fixed. So yeah, a lot of times, anyway, that's really nice. It's nice that she's already demonstrated the fact that not only can she build new features, but she can also dramatically impact a project through that level of tedious diligence. So I've said my piece. Go vote. You've got a week to do it. Speaking of Antonette, I think she has the next topic.
Yep. So yeah, go vote for Antonette. So next up we have Antonette. So Antonette would like to share your updates.
Sure. So first off, I just wanted to say, Lee, thank you for the kind words. I think sometimes I feel like you give me too much credit, but I just try to do what I can to help. And sometimes I know like certain things that are been done in the project, and sometimes we forget to go back and do a follow-up. And so that's what I'm here just to try to help with that part. But also to help us move on to the next step, with new features, with some ideas that I've been thinking about and whatnot. So hopefully, it won't hurt my feelings if you say nay, but I'll be happy to join if you say yes. So yeah. Okay, so let's see. First off, I'm going to talk about the merge PR that I put in about a week ago, I think. So let me share. Okay, so the first PR that I put in was to upgrade the GraphQL to use the GraphQL WS, which is the replacement for subscription transport WS, which is actually the WebSocket transport. And so we were sitting at version 0.9, something like that. And apparently they made a migration sometime about last year or so. So there was no security fix, no bug fix, no, none of that. And they archived the project. So it took some time to try to make the changes because there weren't really very good examples, but they made some critical changes recently, so that's when I went ahead and made this change here. Also, thanks to Pranav with his recent PR for the Relay compiler to the version 14, I was able to combine that together because beforehand it wasn't working the way it should be. Thanks for the feedback on not being able to see the subscription reinitializing like it's supposed to. So once all of that done, that's where we are right here. So my next step on this part is to move to MeshMap to use the same thing as well. Does anybody have any feedback or would like to add on to this part?
Yeah, so we're still using Relay, but the
Yeah, we're still using Relay, but the GraphQL WS has they have the WebSocket and they also have the server-side event. And so they changed the whole protocol implementation to get away from the legacy how it was done before. And so but there's no, I don't think there's no backward compatibility, but if there is backward compatibility, you just use the regular socket packet. So, but yeah, so Relay wasn't changed completely. The only difference is the Relay 14 was changed into a context provider. So now it's WAP in the an app, I think. So it's WAP in the navigator extension, and also the regular here. So it's another provider to add around there. Good thing, the reason why I went ahead with it is because from the get-go, it's really not that, well, I don't think we'll have that many pop billing, but if we do, we'll revisit that later. If it turns out there's some components it's not actually getting it like it's supposed to. But some of the other things that I did was I changed the environment, which here you can see. So before, let's see. Before you had, well, after before it's pretty much the same. The only difference is just changing out the here so it can be called as a function instead of by itself because it was acting a little funky when it did that. But also we have the ability to serialize, but this is not actually being used directly. But that would be something when I go back and troubleshoot, just try to get more detail from Relay and make sure that it's actually displayed on the page as well. So the last changes that I made was some of the queries, they changed their name. So instead of all of it being query, we can just try to name for what they are, but you won't actually see them in the console. But when it comes to just looking at the code, you'll be able to see, okay, hey, I'm having a problem with this, so on and so forth. So the future thing for Net.js in 12 and 13, you can actually call in the data through not to get technical, but you can call it in directly. And so that's the reason why this is set up, so it'll be easy for later to go ahead and call in that. So so let me stop there. So anybody have any other questions or concerns? and this is not in all. So if anybody have any familiarity, would like to help out to improve this, just let me know or do a shout out in the Slack. So okay, so
Related.
Hmm.
Just related to this, Ashish, you'd been talking about, well, now I'm probably conflating two topics. I was going to bring up some GraphQL subscriptions that were being used to keep track of, I think, the mesh sync status. Does that interweave here?
No, I don't
Or are
think so.
these, okay, two separate concerns? Okay, fair enough.
No. Well, yeah. So, but I mean, if we need to add that, I mean, it just you just add it and then add another query and then whatever page that needed, just add that particular query. So yeah. Okay. So the next one is the open. Actually, I might be going out of order, but I have an open issue to just go ahead and add an extra step in the package.json in UA to remove the .NET and the directory, the artifact. Whenever you go build net.js, whether through Makefile or just by yourself, it will automatically build out the directories for caching abilities. But from what I've seen, because I do it so many times and I keep, refreshing, and so I end up with like artifacts that are still old. It's supposed to rewrite, but sometimes you come up with different issues. So this is just a little simple add-on that's going to remove this, and then in the build process, just remove the directories and then just build it, and then pretty much it. Trying to get to my nick. Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions about that, or would not want to see that, or would like to modify that?
So the trade-off here, this is maybe important for Mario or Abi to perk their ears up, that this sounds like the improvement here involves a little bit of a trade-off between just the amount of time taken to perform a build, but on the positive side, much less, much more in a deterministic way. Like we, clean out the environment each time, start from scratch. And some of those times that we see random failures inside of GitHub workflows are due to cache issues. And so I expect this would help with some of that.
But it's perfectly fine if we don't do that now. We can always do that later. It's just an extra step to make the development process and the builds and whatnot helpful. If you do need it for debugging purposes, it's still there. Just run npm itself instead of using make. Then you can do whatever you want at that point. But if you're doing it for production wise, just it'll run the command like it's supposed to be. So.
By the way, to me, that seems like a great trade-off, because if you think about it, when you have, if you're doing a build, you made a change, you're trying to confirm something, and you end up not getting the results that you were expecting because of a caching issue during the build, you can waste a lot of time trying to track that down. And so the amount of like little bit more time that it takes to do a build versus the time that it saves and the frustration and pain that it saves of not only contributors who are building locally, but also in failed GitHub workflows. I mean, it seems like a great trade-off to me. Mario.
Thank you for the feedback on that, at least. Anybody else would like to provide one? No? Okay. So I have two more, and I'm going to wrap it up just real quick. So the next one is the proposal to remove Citrix service mesh, the adapter, completely, since it has not been updated for some time. Actually, it hasn't been updated since I joined. So whenever I was doing my production build with Docker, I would see the adapter, and then you can't see it because it's still. I mean, it's coming up, but you can't see the adapter information. So we don't have to do it right away. If we do still need it, we will actually need to go back and update the repo to the latest. Anybody have any comments on that, Ashish? How do you feel about that? Or we deprecated, but we're still seeing it in the web page, GraphQL. Even whenever you pull up the adapters, it's still calling for it. So
yeah, Ashish, you can verbalize that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a long-standing item, so it's good to go from my side. I'll review and approve the PR. Thank you for this, Antonette.
okay. All right. Lastly, I want to give an update about the code editor. I've already been doing research on this on a couple of different ones until I came across let's see. Actually, there is a package on here that I did not. Oh wait, actually I did. So on this very last part, the one that I suggested from the first time, at that time they didn't have very good support for what I was looking for. So right now they actually made some very good changes, so we can actually use that package, or you can use the other one, which is Vodmir. It's similar, but Vodmir will try to stay out of your way from using with CodeMirror. The other one uses CodeMirror internally. So if you want to make any configuration to CodeMirror itself, it's a little troublesome. But I wanted to give an update that I'm still working on it. Hopefully I will have a PR on it soon. So if anybody would like to help on this part, just let me know. You can shout out on the issue and Slack, so on and so forth. I do want to create this after we group a couple of the folders, which will be mentioned a little bit later on the phone call when we get to it. So, but that's my last update. There's more, but I don't want to clog up the whole phone call. So.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, thanks, Antonette. That was good updates. Let me share my screen again. So next up, we have two topics in a row by Yash Sharma. So Yash would like to give an update.
Yeah, sure. Well, first one, Yash Sharma is another Yash Sharma. Yeah, if we want, we can review his PR.
Okay, so yeah, he had made some page not found issues in dark mode for Meshery.
Yeah, let me describe that. So there is an issue with the dark mode of the error page. If we go to a unexpected route, we will get an error page which does not support currently the dark mode. So Yash Sharma, first one, is working on that, and I think he has completed all the tasks. Yeah, and you can see in that particular video, he has made it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we can move ahead with your item.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. So as you can see here, let me tell for the newcomers. So this is the Meshery that I'm running in my local environment. So in this Meshery, we have recently got the dark mode support. So as you will go in the drop down menu, you will select the dark mode. You will get the dark mode support. But as it is in the initial stage, we have some components that still doesn't support the dark mode, like this one adapter. As you can see, we can see the white background over here. So if you are newcomer, if you are first time, you can work on this issue. And there are some other issues related to dark mode. So you might get a question in future if yes, this is an issue, and what should I add in the background of this dark mode issue? So if it is in the it is white in the light mode, what will be the in the dark mode? So what I created a frame. In this frame, you can get the link from the discussion form here. You can go to the discussion form. I created a post over here, from which you can go or can get the link. So in this frame, as you can see, I have subdivided in the categories in text, button, background, icon. If you are working with the icon or with the background or any type of div or anything, so you can go there and you can see that if there is a color, this blue-gray color in the light mode, it should be expected this color in the dark mode. So yeah, this is the update from my side. So if you are working in the dark mode, you can refer to this frame in the Figma. Thank you.
Yeah, the color palette looks good.
Okay, so I was having a doubt.
Yeah.
Is only UI improvement needed here, like CSS and all, in the front end, like?
Yeah. There are some other issues related to CSS also.
Okay. Can I work on this then?
Yeah, sure. I think the issue that I show, it has already a PR raised, but or an issue raised. You can also work on other issues. You can give it to yourself on the Meshery, and you might get any issue, and you can work on that.
Cool. Thanks for your update, Yash. So next, let's move to next item, that's by Ashish on adding environmental variables to disable Meshery operator.
Okay, so just a small change over here, which is currently when you install Meshery, doesn't matter what platform you use, whether you use Docker or you are testing out things locally or you are on Kubernetes, whenever you Meshery detects your cluster, it automatically installs a Meshery operator, and this operator then has two other controllers, one controller and other NATS broker that it installs, and these things are then used to get data about your cluster. But sometimes we don't really need the operator, and that actually adds an extra overhead for people who are just trying to play around with Meshery without Meshery being too intrusive into their clusters. So for that, I have added an environmental variable and also a subsequent make command. So if basically if you set the disable operator environmental variable to true, it would make sure that the users cannot even go to the UI, and even if they try to manually click on the deploy button, turn on button, and turn on the Meshery operator from the settings page, it won't actually take place. There are two missing items from over here, so that I would like to point out. One is for the UI and the other is for the Meshery CTL. The UI part is that when even after this PR, if you go and try to deploy operator, nothing will happen. So nothing will happen means that the operator won't be turned on. It wouldn't say anything back to you, something like operator is disabled, or that information wouldn't be conveyed to the user unless they go and check the log. Inside of log, you would be able to see. So if the logs are enough and we don't need to convey that to the UI, then maybe UI doesn't need anything over here. And I'll circle back to this after I stop talking. So the second thing was about Meshery CTL, and I think Azanul would be someone who would be able to who would have some suggestions over here. So this thing doesn't add anything into the mesh config that we have. So when you do Meshery CTL system start, mesh config is generated if it's not already there, and if it's there, it's used to create basically your Meshery server instance. So basically there we do not have any field right now to make sure that the operator should be turned off. So that cannot be done on Meshery CTL. Using Meshery CTL system start, maybe a flag can be added or something can be added which can help add this particular environmental variable. So this thing, I have added the few things in the docs to tell how to disable the operator, and this does exactly what the pull request describes into the description. So yeah, two remaining items. On UI, I would need suggestion on what the good UX should be, and on mesheryctl, I would maybe this is a call out for someone who wants to contribute to mesheryctl. Maybe Azanul, maybe someone else. Depends. So basically, to add, and again here also the first part of the discussion is what should be the UX there. Should there be a flag inside of mesheryctl that can convey the information that when you start Meshery, start by adding this particular environmental variable. So that was the thing, that was the change, and those were the two particular suggestions that I would like to ask everyone. So yeah, now I would stop talking, and if anyone has any suggestions or something to say.
Yes.
Hi, Ashish. I have one question.
Yes. A mesh config flag, please. And maybe Abdullah will do it. That would be wonderful.
Hi. I have a question. Like currently it's only in when we are actually installing and starting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the event, let's say once we change it from the UI, okay, once we disable it or undeploy it or whatever state, okay, we have been discussing about this state. So once the state changes from the UI, should it reflect it on the event of a graceful shutdown of V, or should it always write it back to the config?
So I think okay. So I think this is true for disable operator is true for the entire life cycle of one Meshery instance. So this should not be writable from the UI. So if you have started your Meshery instance by disabling the operator, now that was part of the second question. I don't really think that UI should be able to just go and like flip that switch. So basically only mesheryctl.
But it already can, right?
Yeah, it already can, and that's what the problem was right now, that like in one of the instances that we run, we don't want anyone to just go and start Meshery operator just if they want to. We want to restrict that behavior in some way. So
but the UI, yeah, right. It is desirable that, I mean, there's I don't know if we have time for this, but it's good. This is a good feature. It's kind of missing a design spec that gives holistic consideration as to where such behavior should be exposed and how it should be used, and to the full extent that it would be configurable. In Meshery UI, there's some amount of configurability for disabling and enabling a Meshery operator on a per cluster basis, which is probably the level of granularity that's ultimately desired. I think myopically, the challenge that you're trying to solve here is with respect to a specific environment, specifically the playground environment, which is primarily configured based on the build. There's a different build of Meshery that occurs for that environment. This stuff Ashish knows. And hence that has informed his approach here, which I think is great, for ensuring that you get a choice at build time as to whether or not you even want to deal with the operator, which is another faucet of control, and it's ideal. As a matter of fact, as Azan, as you think about control over, well, this very thing, like whether or not, which and what components, should be either built or included as part of a deployment. We might have in the past, just because this is a 3-year-old project, we might be at the point by which we're sort of conflating the difference between a build time configuration, like as you go to compile the software and use make commands, and a deployment time configuration, which is more like, it's referred to as mesh config, but it's the mesheryctl, or it's the configuration that a user would find inside of the hidden folder under their home directory, .meshery/config. And I was about to say that, oh, it's mesheryctl's config. And that's, while mesheryctl uses it, I suppose it's, yeah, mesheryctl creates it and uses it. And it's not the only one that uses that. Meshery server uses it as well. But anyway, point is, now that I've said all these words, like there's probably subsequent to this PR, maybe some additional consideration as to more or less what Ashish was saying, like, hey, if we're making a call for potentially an enhancement within mesh config, primarily for purposes of the CLI client, mesheryctl, then what Ashish is, I think, also saying is like, symmetrically, we should also make consideration for the other Meshery server client, Meshery UI, what changes would need to be done there. So if any.
I don't want to like elongate the conversation right now, but it feels to me a little vague of what features like deploy or disable and enable should be from build time and should be available in UI.
Is part of that, is a large part of that in reference to language used, or is that more in reference to just ambiguity about the different supported deployment models and the different deployment models that people might want?
No, I'm not talking about the language use. I'm like, yeah, the exact configuration, the actual configuration that configuration options that are available in build time that can be changed after it's like running. Gotcha. That can be changed from the UI, as Ashish said. Like these are things that should not be available in the UI for changing it. Like we need to fix that. Like, do we have a kind of this in written form, like these things be restricted or something like that?
Of the things that maybe I'll go take a look. I think of the things that we have written, they are primarily done from the perspective of what should be configurable. And I don't know that we explicitly list what should not be configurable.
No, like if it is written what we configurable, then we can like
deduce the. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I'll see if I can pull up a doc. The Meshery adapters design spec is one that comes to mind. But Abdullah, you, Mr. Rafi, you might have a design spec or two to point out as well, considering some of your kind of focus in this area. As a matter of fact, it's good for you. Okay, nice. Cool, good for you to meet Azan as well, because as he looks at configurability around like runtime deployment or undeployment of Meshery adapters or other components like the operator, there might be some ramifications for mesh config. So mesh config, like okay, since we're at time and since the like, let me say this last bit, which hopefully you all would stumble upon anyway. There is inside of. So does anybody have a mesh config? There's one inside of the docs. I'm saying this word mesh config, and I think some people are saying, I don't know, what's this guy talking about? Why won't this guy shut up? I just want to have my dinner. Let's see if this works. Mesh. Using Meshery CLI, using multiple adapters. Okay, mesh config comes into place or into play in both of those areas. So, oh goodness. Here's something of an example, of verbose example of a mesh config. You'll find this file by interacting with mesheryctl system context. This context resource refers to this local YAML file. And there is a design spec that is unimplemented, and I'm not advocating that we go implement it. I just want to point it out as like one of these pieces that doesn't fit into the puzzle yet, and that is it has to do with Kubernetes contexts. So if you consider that each mesh config context, it describes a Meshery deployment. That Meshery deployment might end up, that single Meshery deployment might end up managing 85 Kubernetes clusters or 0 Kubernetes clusters. Oh, wait, okay. So if we want to offer people control over something like whether or not the Meshery operator is deployed to, like, not just for a Meshery deployment, like turning it off for the entire deployment. Okay, that's helpful. That's a nice global thing. But what if, no, I'm managing 85 clusters and I want the operator turned off on that half because that's my dev half, but I want it on the other prod half. I just wanted to acknowledge that the level of granularity within mesh config is not at a per cluster level. It's at a per Meshery deployment level. There's a separate design spec that was created like a year and a half ago that identifies how it is that we might support configurability in a more granular way on a per cluster basis. I don't know that we need to get there. I just want to point this out as like one of those considerations to be aware of.
Cool. With that discussion, I think we are done with today's agenda item and we can discuss the leftover items in next meeting. So yeah, let's call this a wrap. So thank you everyone for joining Meshery Development Meeting. We'll meet you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Bye.